Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up to become a member of the Shannons Club. Kenworth Trucks Australia and Pace Farm Eggs. G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome. Today the camera is going to run over 3 Cadillacs here west of Melbourne, and then you'll see another beautiful example out of Sydney in this week's Classic Restos on the road. And with me now, we have Tony Zeno from Cadillac Style Car Hire, just outside of Melbourne here in Victoria. How are you, Tony?
I'm excellent, Fletch, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Cadillac guy, dressed in theme, have a go at you, eh?
Yep, got to have everything. The shirt, cars, hair, all part of it.
Now, Tony, you've been good enough to feature these cars at very short notice, so the least we can do is give you a plug. Tell us what you do. What do you use these Cadillacs for?
Well, obviously, the primary is our pleasure and benefit, but as a little hobby business, we've got Cadillac Style, which is wedding car hire, cruising with Elvis. You can do that. Yep. We do anything, birthdays, any functions that people want. And these days, the wedding car hire part of it, it's not so much during the day, but it's also night transfers, which I do a lot of too. Yeah.
Good on you, Tony. Well done. Now, what we're going to do is briefly have a bit of an overview of each Cadillac. We've got a 55, a 59 and a 60. All these cars have been made, obviously, very reliable because that's what you want, especially when you're using them for a business purpose. Now, being an Elvis fan, a little bit of, well, it's a little bit eerie when you stop and think that once that radio in this car, the speaker, well, back in the day would have had Elvis when he was around and on the charts, would have been playing. And have you ever stopped and thought about stuff like that?
Yes, I have actually, and it's no choice for any of the people that hire the cars. It's Elvis, Elvis, or Elvis.
Yeah. When we look at a car like this, 331 cubic inch V8 engine, a very rounded, slab-sided, almost like an overweight sheet metal car. The curves in the car, Tony, it's a strong car.
It's a 2.5 ton car, but they were a work of art, Fletch. They had style, grace, and each car was meticulously designed for individuality. And those were the days when a car came at you the other way, you knew you were looking at a Ford or a Chev or a Cadillac, because each had individual style, not like today.
Let's look at some of the features here. The Autronic eye up there on the dash, dipping the high beams. What a revolutionary concept for 1955.
Yeah, amazing car, and to drive this, it's just a unique experience because she's just a lovely, lovely cruiser.
Now, we mentioned this on Classic Restos quite a few times. A lot of guys get tangled up with the horsepower figure, but there's one thing that a lot of people tend to forget, and that's the torque figure. And although these things might not have been that high in the horsepower, well, they were back in their time. 331 cubic inch, and the horsepower it did would have been, fairly up there. But an amazing amount of torque with these things, and that's what gets you along.
Correct, yeah, and all 3 cars that we'll see here today all have their own characteristics, and to drive something like this it's just an amazing feeling.
All right, Tony, here we are at the glorious 59 model. We look there, 4 years of change. What have we done here? We've come away from that high 50 style hood. We've got a lower look now.
Yes, now we're launching into the rocket era with the styling and the lights at the back. As you can see, they're lower, they're sleeker, and they're a more leaner looking car.
A slightly wider track too.
Correct, and and this is a totally different beast altogether.
The 59, it's kind of like it's all It's all over the place, isn't it? You've got this big divider bar here. There's so much chrome here in the front of this car. It's like a block of flats in the front here in terms of area.
They were very meticulous, and they just threw caution to the wind because they just wanted to make a statement. You either love the 59 or you hate the 59 because it's very out there, and that's why it's got the appeal to some people, but and not others.
It's interesting when you look at some of the motor reviews and the journalists back in the day. The Cadillacs were often knocked for not changing all that much. They were criticised for keeping a tradition with not a lot of change, and that's very interesting because in their own way they did change. But as you said, the 59 with the most awesome tail lamps out the back. And the fins, I think they were bumped off by a Belvedere by 1/8 of an inch or something.
Yeah, that's all. There wasn't much in it, but it was the largest fins that Cadillac made, and then they went reduced there. So this is my dream car, and this is one I aspired to have one day, and I didn't realise I was going to actually get one as early as I did. But this is my love of car.
I have to say, when it comes to American cars that are original, I'm quite partial. I do like my left hook cars. I like my left-hand drive cars, but this 59 here being right-hand drive.
Yeah, what actually happened, this one came to Australia in 1988, and at the time to register one of these vehicles you had to convert the car to make a full reg. So the conversion in this particular car has been done absolutely sensationally well, and she steers perfectly.
All right, Tony, here we go, the 1960 model. We've just slimmed things down a little bit on the 60, haven't we?
Yeah, the fins are actually 4 inches lower than the 59, and it gives it that sleeker look.
It's 100 mil to the digitally educated. When you talk cars, 100 mil is huge, whether it be wheelbase, whether it be like what you've just mentioned with the height of the fins. That is massive.
It is massive, and for those that the flamboyancy of the 59 was a little bit too much, they appealed to this one because of the reduction in the height of the fins and more sleeker line.
They also had options as well, just under the hood here for a sec. There's so much you can talk about these. The 390, and they were optioned with 2 carbies in their day as well. You could get them with 2 carbies. I think 345 horsepower was around about the norm with the 2 carbs. 325 horse as standard out of these 390s. They did a very, very good job. We look around the aesthetics around the front. The centre divide grille has now been removed. We have a more open grille. We still, of course, have the twin headlights, which is just screaming Cadillac. I love how the fenders come around the front and you've got that rounded look, and what a shape. And that screams Cadillac all day long, doesn't it?
Very sexy, isn't it?
On that note, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time today, and I wish you well in the continuation of your business around these Cadillacs and your preservation as well. To think you've got a 55, a 59 and 60, you've got 3 iconic years here, and it's great to see them in such great condition.
Yes, we're very blessed to have all 3 cars in iconic modes of Cadillac, the biggest Agma, the biggest fins, and the lovely sleek line of a beautiful convertible.
And it's representing a lost era. It's an era in vehicle manufacturing that we'll never ever see again. The ones we have here are the ones that are left. We just have to keep on doing what we can to preserve them.
Yes, they take a lot of love, but well worth it.
Thanks for your time this morning, and keep up your great work with these Cadillacs.
It's a pleasure, Fletch. Come in any time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good on you. Okay, stay in your favourite chair because after the break, there's another beautiful Cadillac coming your way in this week's episode of Classic Restos.
When I was a kid, I loved cars, still do. The 57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was the most advanced car in the world. Cost more than a Rolls. Hand-built with a stainless steel roof, cruise control, electric seats, and would you believe, air suspension. American iron. It's a passion Shannons understand. That's why they insure my daily drive, the caddy, my bike, even the house.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
In 2025, why not consider a tour of Detroit, Michigan, USA with Fletch? Detroit, it's the Motown City, the automotive epicenter. Each day is wow, wow, and more wow. Imagine experiencing where automotive history on a grand scale began. Stay in fine accommodation, taking in some of the best museums and private car collections on the planet. Book your exclusive 2025 Detroit tour with Fletch. Enquiries at DetroitClassicTours.com. And of course, if you own a classic, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646? And becoming a member of the Shannons Club has never been easier. For more information on the Shannons Club and more, visit shannons.com.au. Welcome back. And how good was Tony's Cadillacs? Since then, we have travelled from west of Melbourne in Victoria to southwest of Sydney to feature a beautiful 1966 Cadillac Coupe DeVille to complete this episode. Meet Milan Lukash. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever chat to. Milan left the country of Slovakia back around the year of 2003. With a broken English accent, around $1,000 to his name, and no job, he sought better opportunities here in Australia. What a brave move. Milan emulated exactly what some of our early hard-working immigrants did in the 1950s and 1960s into Australia. As soon as Milan arrived, he found work immediately, and his work ethic has remained strong ever since. Some 25 years later, he holds a management position within his company, has a lovely family, his wife Katrina, and he drives a 1966 Cadillac Coupe DeVille. What more do you ever want? Here is some of Milan's story.
So my first experience when I arrived to Australia in 2003 is, I remember it very vividly. I landed at the airport in Sydney, and I was about to ask for direction, and there was a lovely policeman standing there. So I remember coming up to him and asking him, where do I find this particular car park, because I was meeting someone. And when he explained the directions to me, I was just gobsmacked. I'm like, I can't understand a word this guy's saying, you know? So he spoke with Australian accent. I'm like, these people don't even speak English. So that was my first experience after I arrived to Australia.
Look, it was pretty amazing, you know, Milan coming to Australia, and I quite admire him coming here. It's a huge opportunity. Like, he had not much when he came here at all. I think he just had a dream and was able to establish himself, and you know, we met shortly after he arrived.
So I met my lovely wife Katrina shortly after I arrived. We've been together for 22 years.
You don't meet someone at that age and go, oh, I'm going to marry you, and you know, we're going to, you know, live this life together. But it was really nice to understand who he was and his values and his passion.
A few years after, we had a wedding, and not surprised, our wedding car was a '59 Cadillac. A year after the wedding, our son was born, our son Harry. And yeah, that's shortly after that, you know, I developed this passion for classic cars.
When he wanted to buy a Cadillac, he was looking at cars, and you know, he was really interested, and he's like, look, I've always dreamt this. He's got this amazing pull to, you know, everything Americana, and his dream was to go to America, but he ended up coming here to Australia. So, you know, we had established a family and had been married, and when he started talking about buying a classic car, I was like, yeah, do we need it? I don't know, you know, like, you know, the sensible side of me was thinking that, and I was like, you know what, if you wanted to, just buy it.
In 2016, I ended up buying this beautiful beast, 1966 Coupe DeVille.
it was just nice that we've been able to build this life together, and this car has been on many journeys throughout our life, not just destination-wise, but you know, like we've had Milan's parents here and we've chucked them all in the car. We've had kids and their friends in the car, and you know, like it's a two-door, so you've got to really climb in the back over the seat. And when the kids were younger, it was so much easier for them to climb in the back, and now our son is 6 foot, so you know, him trying to get in and out of the car is, you know, a bit of a challenge.
Since I purchased the car, I've done quite a few things. For me, it's all about reliability. So I don't really, I don't want to say care, but I just want it to be reliable because I use the car quite a lot. So she's a driver. I take the car to a local supermarket. I take the car to a local hardware store. I used to pick up kids from school in the car. I take the car to the gym. So she gets driven a lot. So I just want it to be reliable. So since I purchased it, again, refreshed the engine, carburetor, radiator rebuild, air conditioning fixed, heater fixed, new suspension, new exhaust, you name it. So all the bits and pieces, you know, I want for, you know, for the car to be reliable. Now she's a perfect turnkey cruiser. This Cadillac means the world to me. But again, what I treasure most is the memories and the experiences we created together as a family. Kids grew up in it, so I've had the car for nearly 10 years. So when I purchased it, the kids were 4, 5, 6 years old. Now they're teenagers, they're 14 and 16, and they just take it as a normality. You know, the car is there, we hop in the caddy, we go for a cruise to Windsor for ice cream, or we go, you know, other directions. So, you know, and it's great to see the interaction of the kids with the car. They respect it. The same with my wife, Katrina. We love it, you know, and if there's nothing to do on a weekend, we'll just hop in the car and we take her out for a cruise.
I can see how passionate Milan is about Cadillacs, especially our Cadillac that we have together. And it's really sweet. He calls it our Cadillac, not his Cadillac, which is really sweet. So we've, you know, created a lot of memories, and we also, you know, really enjoy spending time together in the car. For me, I just love to sit in the passenger seat while he just drives to anywhere, and it's not about the destination, it's really the journey. And it's really where we have a lot of these deep and meaningful conversations, a lot of bright ideas come up when we're sitting in the car just having that conversation. And I love how Milan is so passionate about this car as well, and I totally respect that and understand that.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life. My Coupe 4 is rare and very special. A real performance car with all-wheel drive grip. I'm not a car club bloke, and I don't work on it myself, but I do have a great mechanic. One day, I might even get that HQ. When it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons.
Shannons shares your passion. Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
In 2025, why not consider a tour of Detroit, Michigan, USA with Fletch? Detroit, it's the Motown City, the automotive epicenter. Each day is wow, wow, and more wow. Imagine experiencing where automotive history on a grand scale began. Stay in fine accommodation, taking in some of the best museums and private car collections on the planet. Book your exclusive 2025 Detroit tour with Fletch. Enquiries at DetroitClassicTours.com.
Your story began in 1971. It's part of an endless tapestry that tells the story of our nation. It connects innovators to artisans, forests to houses, from the largest of operations to the smallest of outcomes. It's heritage. It's a legacy.
So people always ask me, how do I drive this car in Sydney traffic? And I just say, normal. I just stay in the left lane. I take it easy. I make sure there's enough clearance between me and the next car. You know, we take the car on holidays. weekend getaways.
When we do arrive at destinations, sometimes we'll meet up at car meets or, you know, cars and coffee. It's really nice to see the passion that the people have together, and it is definitely a community, and they share that passion. When they come together, all they do is talk cars, and you could just really see that their faces light up, and everything that they talk about is really heartfelt towards, you know, their pride and joy.
Milan, what an absolute delight to feature yourself in this beautiful 1966 Cadillac.
Oh, thank you, Fletch. Thank you very much. Yeah,
What an incredible car.
oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
You're loving it, aren't you?
I love it. I'm in love with it. Absolutely. We call it a third child. So she's our third child.
See, this is what it's all about. This is what the classic vehicles do. Could be a bike, car, truck, doesn't matter. It's the effect that this stuff has on us. I think around about the time, 1966, around about 192 or 193,000 1966 Cadillacs built. Around 130,000 of those were DeVilles. And this car is one of around about 50,000 coupes. Is that around about right?
You've done your homework, Fletch. Well done. Yes.
Nice too to see an example where obviously it's been pretty well looked after during its life. Yeah. Do you know what part of California that it came from?
Yeah, it's from LA, so it comes from Glendale in particular. So it was sold on the 8th of August 1966. So yeah, so California car, very solid, no rust at all, so very looked after.
Milan, in terms of the owner, a corporate person, do you know anything much past that about the person?
Absolutely. So the person who bought it in 1966 was an executive, and this executive, he worked for a poultry company, so chicken farm. I actually researched the farm itself. Unfortunately, the farm closed in 1971, so I don't know what happened afterwards. So, but yeah, the car was definitely owned by a corporate person. Yeah.
Engine up front. What's the rundown there? Tell us what powers this Milan.
Well, it's a 429 V8, obviously, so 7-litre. When the car was released in '66, had around 325 horsepower. So, you know, having 320 horses to your disposal 60 years ago must have been pretty fantastic.
In the early 60s here in Australia, if you spoke to anybody or our parents, depending on where you are on the age spectrum, but if you spoke of a vehicle with over 300 horsepower, I think it would be almost, they just wouldn't believe what you were talking about.
Absolutely. Imagine that, 300 horsepower, 300 plus, rear-wheel drive, V8, dream.
This is when the United States were 20-odd years ahead of the rest of the world when it came to this stuff, their engineering. And 320 horsepower in the early 60s was, well, you know, they that sort of figure had been around a little while at that point too, and it was only going to increase as the 60s rolled on.
Yeah, that's correct. So it's gone up, it's gone further up in, you know, 67, 68, 69. But it's surprisingly went down again in the early 70s, right, with the fuel crisis, etc.
Yeah, the emissions and what have you.
Yeah, the emissions, yep.
It wasn't just vacuum hoses around your engine. The emissions meant a lot more than that. Lower compressions, doughy camshafts, and made them produce that less power to try and meet emissions. We look around the aesthetics of the dashboard. All the bright work is in beautiful condition. I love the steering wheel. I love the chrome work and the bright work around the dashboard. Just a real pinnacle just to see the instrumentation.
From 67 onwards, GM used plastic parts in the dash. So 66 is the last year of Cadillacs where there was no plastic used at all. So it's a really nice dash, you know, the steering...
It's chrome on metal or die cast.
Absolutely, chrome on metal, die cast, you know, the steering wheel is nice and skinny, you know, and it's just that has that feel of, you know, early 60s or late 50s, early 60s, I'd say Cadillacs, yeah.
You might be watching and think this too, like when you drive a big car, there's something about having a really thin wheel. I know that gets very criticised by motoring journalists because the idea is to have a fatter wheel so you've got better grip and something to hang on to. But with these feather-light power steering cars, as you glide down the road, I don't know what it is. I don't know what your thoughts are, but there's something about that standard steering wheel.
I love it. You know, and the steering wheel it's very skinny, but has a nice grip to it, you know. And as you mentioned, the power steering is just insane, and you can really steer it with your pinky if you want to. So
Manoeuvring these cars, as long as you've got your dimensions right, and obviously you can see where you're going, it's not hard. You don't bust your back or hurt your shoulders getting in funny angles trying to reef on the wheel to get them into tight locks. They can manoeuvre into pretty short spaces very easily, can't they?
absolutely, because you have literally when you look around, you have a 360 view. You know, there are no thick pillars. You know, the A pillar is very skinny. There is no B pillar really. So you can really see where you're going. You can see the front of the car, back of the car nicely, so you can really park it without any dramas.
And I can see too on the driver's door, Milan, you've got one of those reversing cameras, and that'll never let you down. It's chrome and it's called a mirror.
That's correct, and it's only one of them, you know, on the left-hand side, yeah.
Okay, on that note, Milan, I want to thank you so much for yourself and your lovely wife, Katrina, for the opportunity today to add to Tony's Cadillacs in Melbourne and making this a very Cadillac episode. So thank you very much for being a special part of this, Milan.
Thank you, Fletch. Pleasure.
Good on you, mate. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
3 sensational Cadillacs belonging to Tony, west of Melbourne, rounding off with this delightful 1966 Cadillac Coupe DeVille, belonging to Milan and Katrina Lukash, from a time when Cadillac was standard of the world. I hope you have enjoyed it. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch. Thanks for watching. Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up to become a member of the Shannons Club. Kenworth Trucks Australia and Pace Farm Eggs.